We had some technical difficulties, but guess what? We are live. Greetings and welcome to Rice Crypto and I Love Crypto, Crypto Blood CBTV. Channel collaboration, live streaming on both of our live channels, on both of our live channels. Live streaming on both of our channels. We got links down below for each other's socials, channels, etc. Be sure to take an opportunity to smash them like booties, people. We're going to get things started here in just moments. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be sharing part of and reacting to a recent video from Richard Hart. Some of you might be familiar with Mr. Dick. Good old Richard. He had a lot of important things to say. And I'm looking forward to getting Blood's reaction and sharing my thoughts. And as always, before we begin, a few quick messages from the sponsors of Rice TVX, Rice Crypto, make it possible for me to do this thing full-time. Shout out to Monarch and Presearch. You can find information in my video description for both. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get this thing started. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this thumbnail and reveal some very specialness right here. We got 72 viewers. Make sure you guys are all taking an opportunity to hit that like button. What's going on, CB?
Yeah, buddy. Happy New Year.
I don't even know what to think of that. I don't know. Is that a octoblood?
Octopus. I love puss, baby. I love puss.
Octoblood.
Octopus. What's going on, Rice? How are you, bro?
I'm doing well, man. It's good seeing you, my friend.
Yeah, you too. It's kind of hard for me to smoke my cigar and do this at the same time. So
yeah, I was wondering how you're going to do that.
Yeah, it's not going to work too.
But
hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in. You know, this was shout out to my man, Crypto King.
Shout out.
He sent this to me. I don't know if he sent this to you as well.
He did. He did.
Okay, and he's like, "Yo, you and Rice should do a reaction." I said, "Absolutely." You know, I think this is I was caught by surprise, Rice, seeing this. I will have to say I caught a snippet of it, but we're gonna go through the whole thing. Rice took the time to speed it up a little bit for us, so we don't have to, bore you guys to death. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting, bro.
We're here to take an opportunity real quick, man, while we have a chance and share some information about Bloodalytics. I know you got a lot going on. You've been covering on your channel, and we didn't have a promo video to play for you.
Yeah,
and I did play mine. So let's take an opportunity and talk about Bloodalytics.
Yeah, Bloodalytics, man. It's an automated system for trading. Okay, I partner with Fairdesk on this. And yeah, guys, go to bloodalytics.com. I think I have a link in the description of my video, so check it out if you guys are interested. Definitely something to look into with these wild swings in the market. So, hey, I think it does better than Market Cipher, in my opinion. But, hey, that's, what I'm saying.
I love it, brother. I love it. I love it. Well, I was glad we had a chance.
Shout out to Johnny B. Crypto, KKK Blood.
Well, let me highlight everybody we got in the house. Definitely appreciate it. We had Litecoin Lisa sharing. She was in the chat earlier. Hopefully she's still with us. Red Squirrel, thanks for joining. Atlantean. Nancy Croy, good seeing you. John Hardy, if you know, you know. Johnny B says buying the dip. We had CB in the house as well. Mexican Sergi Lee. So he's changed his name. I thought it was
yeah. I convinced him to change it, bro.
Spanish or rice in Spanish is arroz. So arroz con sangria. See if you guys can get what that is all about. Wisdom Bars, thanks for tuning in. Wise Fools.
Wine?
Sangre.
Oh, sangre.
Maybe sangre, not sangria, but either way, it's people. I think I got it right. Black Smack, thanks for tuning in. Johnny B, appreciate you tuning in. I'm not sure what the hood thing there is all about, but okay. Definitely hit those likes. Griff, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. We got a lot of people dealing, man. Richard Hart likes to get a lot of attention.
He's triggering. Yeah,
he is definitely triggering.
And Algo's probably love seeing his face up there in distress.
He said it. Sangre.
Sangre. Right,
is blood. So, arroz con sangre would be rice with blood. It'd be a really awful meal to go in and order at your local Spanish restaurant. But go in and order some arroz con sangre, if I say it correctly. So, yeah, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Real quick, I do want to do another quick screen share. Let everybody know that if you guys are watching on the Crypto Blood side, make sure you're checking out my website, ricetvx.com. You can watch both my YouTube channels directly there and find links to my socials. I have links for my X account for both of my YouTube channels, Rice Crypto and Rice Against the Grain, as well as my Rumble channel, which I'm live streaming on as well. And make sure you guys are taking an opportunity and following Mr. Crypto Blood. If you guys are watching on the Rice Crypto side, follow him on the X, which still takes you back to Twitter. So officially Twitter, his YouTube channel, his Rumble. And I will have a link down below for the full video that we're going to be covering. This comes from Merry Christmas from Richard Hart. Someone took a clip from it, put it on YouTube, and that's what Crypto King shared with us. And before we begin, I don't know if you saw this, Blood, but this is something a little off tangent, kind of connected because of what Richard Hart talks about in the situation that we're in with potential domestic enemies of our state. We had just crossed over $34 trillion there on the United States debt. Did you see this happen, my friend?
I did not.
Yeah,
I don't pay attention to this shit. It doesn't matter. They're going to keep printing, and they're going to keep printing.
It's just crazy, and it's gonna climb up because when I looked at this last night, let me get this where it's running. When I looked at it last night, it was 37.5 billion. Is that the right number? And now it's like 7. So it's went up 2 billion or 2 million or 2 million or 2 billion just in the last like 12 hours, which is insane. Ridiculous. And another thing I wanted to highlight was a secret window. The secret window is given the Ponzi scheme awards. The U.S. Federal Reserve is the winner. We have Charlie Ponzi and Chairman Powell. So, Chair Powell, you should be happy to be the world champions of the Ponzi scheme awards. Shout out to U.S. Debt Clock for their secret window.
Do you think this matters, Rice? Do you think these debt amounts really matter?
Not where we're headed, man.
Because we're not even. Are we even top 10? Debt to GDP countries? I don't even think we are. I don't even think we're in the top 10. Yeah, I don't think we are.
If someone knows, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. But I'm pretty sure we're not top 10. And in addition to that, we are the world reserve currency. So we have some things to our advantage. I should say, Rice. We have some things to our advantage. So
yeah, and then I think going into a predominantly electronic digital system, which is where they're leading us to, is going to allow for them to control it.
Better.
Right. So we are at the end of the current fiat cycle, and that's what people are talking about. But if you can kind of swap over to this CBDC based system, digital system, in the meantime, you can then start garnering more control, and then financializing and dollarizing Bitcoin also gives you the opportunity to continue your scam longer as well, which is just really ironic that that's what Bitcoin is in fact actually doing.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to cake this bad boy for another decade or so. I'm going to be honest with you. What do you think? As far as the U.S. holding that dollar hegemony status?
Yeah, it's going to take a while for BRICS to really take hold. and take over that dominance. So it will take time, unless the rest of the world just gets sick and tired of the games and just says screw it.
See, the problem with that, they are already sick and tired of it. But
right. I know, but there's
all
probably
their
going to be a
debt
lot
is
of debt
denominated in
forgiveness.
dollars. All of their debt is denominated in dollars, and so that one point alone, that one reason alone, not that we're the petrodollar and most of oil is settled in dollars and all of that, and it's the fact that all these countries' debt, Rice, is denominated in dollars, so they can't just leave and go to another fiat because they'll end up owing more.
Yeah. That makes sense. It does. I get it. So everybody came here to hear about our reaction to this Richard Hart video. Do you think we should take this thing full screen and then add our like we can just say, hey, we want to talk about this? Or do you think we should share ourselves while we're sharing the video in addition?
Let's share ourselves, and we'll just, jump in where we see fit.
All right. And again, if you guys will take an opportunity, please take an opportunity to smash that like button. John Hardy was saying that number 1 is Japan.
I saw that. Yep. 2
Number 2 being Greece. 3 Singapore. Debt to GDP. U.S. is not in the top 10. Blood, you are correct.
That's what I thought.
We'll find out if Blood's correct with his Bitcoin ETF prediction.
Oh yeah.
See?
What do you think? You've been kind of neutral.
Yeah. No. I mean, I've been. I don't know, man. Here's the thing. It looks like it may get passed before the 10th. But it also looks like, and there's been a couple people that have covered this in videos as far as what took place when the gold ETF was first launched, because it wasn't off to the races right away. In fact, I think within like a month of launching, it went down. I think, if I remember correctly, like 7%. I know that's not a lot in our terms, but in gold terms, that's a pretty significant amount.
That's interesting because a guy on my channel told me that after the spot gold ETF went live, it
not right away.
Gold went up 400%.
It wasn't right away.
He didn't give me context. Okay,
right. It was like from what I understood, a 7% dip, and that would have given an opportunity for those institutions to scoop up more actual gold to back up said ETF.
Which is crazy because maybe finally our old pal Peter Schiff can be right. Because Rice, he said that he thinks on a Bitcoin ETF approval, Bitcoin will crash. That's what he said.
Yeah, I think either way we're going to see downward action.
That's why I'm getting out Friday, guys. Come.
Well, Friday is tomorrow.
Yes.
Cinco de January.
Oh, you picking up a new language in the new year? Is that what I'm hearing a theme here? You keep trying.
I might be moving to Mexico. I don't know.
Shit, man. You better get that Rosetta Stone going. But yeah, so tomorrow, bro. Tomorrow night, I'm out. I'm going to the sidelines.
Oh, you wait until nighttime?
Yeah, tomorrow evening. Yeah.
You're gonna wait till the trad day closes?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So Crypto Shinobi says, yo, Blood, you think Helium's proof of coverage network has some new life being on Solana now? And I didn't even know that, so thanks for sharing that.
I didn't know that either. Round of applause for that. I would say no.
Yeah, because what happens to the network when it does get shut
down
again? Because it will. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's had any as much downtime recently, but what, in 21 it was like 11, 14 times, something like that.
Yeah, man. I'm still not confident in Solana's uptime. I'm just not yet. Not yet.
PB says, I got it. That would be Spanish rice, my friend. Ha! Nobody really got that joke. Nobody really got it. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So we're gonna add to stage
Bill of Rights, which were amendments to the
Constitution. Let me take this thing back. Really, I didn't know it was just gonna like drill in right away. So let me go ahead and take this back.
Put us in the corner. Give us that layout. So yeah, there we go.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and start this thing up, and I guess if we want to say something, just talk over top of it, pause it.
I thought I was able to have control to pause.
Not if I'm running it. If you were doing.
If I were sharing, right,
yeah,
right, okay,
yeah.
there we go. Cool.
So I don't know. You want to hold your hand up or something?
Yeah.
Because we put it on 1.25 speed as well to make sure that, because it's like 40 something minutes or around 40 minutes originally. So we've gotten it down to about 30. So we're going to go ahead. It's 15 minutes into the live stream. We got over 100 people watching. Smash the like button.
Smash the
Here
like.
we go.
We need 100. Hey,
this
what I'll do
really
is do
important
this.
Stuff, though.
You'll hear soundboard. If I do that or I give you a gunshot, I need you to stop. There we go.
Right.
Round of applause for that.
Here we go.
So legal stuff. Let's talk about legal stuff. In the United States, you have something called the Constitution. The Constitution restricts the government. The Constitution's job is to restrict the government and to protect your rights. You have something called the Bill of Rights, which were amendments to the Constitution to really super give you a good deal and restrict the government can do because.
Man, go ahead. I didn't think you were really doing it that soon. I was down here playing with myself. My hands were. Go ahead.
Yo, PB says, why is RH hiding his chair? It's because it's in Gucci print. All right, that's why.
So yeah,
that's all I have to say.
I also will state that this video comes from a video that's like an hour and 22 minutes long. There's like 43 minutes before this starts, and I was telling Blood, because Blood hadn't seen the entire video, to get some context. Richard was saying that he didn't want to be wearing any sort of valuable clothing, any sort of high fashion clothing. He didn't want to have his Gucci and Prada bags and his million Rolex watches behind him, because he said he didn't want to trigger people. So he's being a little bit more politically correct in his action.
Trigger people or trigger the SEC? Which do you think it is more so, Rice?
You know what I think it is? I think it's just straight up smash that like booty. All right, so let's go ahead and start that over, because we're not very far into it. That was 17 seconds before you made me stop.
My bad.
But really, this is really important stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Richard, he likes to talk about how smart he is, but he actually is really smart.
No, he's smart. He's smart.
He says some of the most, what's the word, encouraging and intelligent things that I've ever heard him say in this video. So really pay close attention.
So legal stuff. Let's talk about legal stuff. In the United States, you have something called the Constitution. The Constitution restricts the government. The Constitution's job is to restrict the government and to protect your rights. You have something called the Bill of Rights, which were amendments to the Constitution to really super give you a good deal and restrict the government can do, because governments have such a history of screwing people over and over again throughout history. So what are some things in the Constitution? And these are very important things to know. And these things are so important to know that federal officers, such as Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, you can go on the internet and you can search Gary Gensler's confirmation hearing, and you're going to see him swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America to defend it against enemies, both foreign and domestic. Now, you might ask yourself, what is a domestic enemy? What is a domestic enemy of the Constitution?
What is a domestic enemy of the Constitution to you, Crypto Bud? You're muted yourself.
Jan 6 participants. Those are threats to the Constitution or whatever. Yeah.
Are you serious?
A lot of those individuals have actually been, a lot of those have been placed on this, what is it?
None of those individuals were charged with domestic terrorism or sedition or insurrection related charges.
A lot of people were put on this list. I can't remember what the name is. It's a TSA list called Clear Sky or Clear something. Have you heard of that?
No, because I was in January. I was in DC on January 6th, and I've flown since then. So, and I haven't been fondled by TSA.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, man. I think if you look at history, you look at falling nations. What do they do at the end? They start turning on themselves. They start turning on their people. And they start snooping on their people. They start doing all the things that they did to their enemies. They do it to their own people. And that's where we're heading, right? So that's exactly where we're heading.
No, I agree. A domestic terrorist to me is someone who is working against the government and the betterment of the United States of America, whether they're working with other nation states, non-government agencies with the agenda to undermine what the founding fathers had created with our governance system. And that could be a plethora of things depending on the timeline. But where we're at now, somebody who may be hiding sort of viral research that's taking place in other countries that ends up having a pandemic being released.
It's interesting to see some people here, right, say the opposite. They say that the domestic enemies are the feds, and
well, I would say the Federal Reserve. I was going to include that. The Federal Reserve I would look at as being 100%. Because, I mean, if we look at the past and what's happened with the past history of central banking in the United States, and I don't want to take too much time on this, but the central banking, the first and second attempt at central banking were ended very, very quickly. I think within 10 years or less of the creation of their, there's a word for it, that's what they're granted to be able to be the central bank of the United States. And we haven't done that with the Federal Reserve. And if we look at what's happened with the Federal Reserve since 1913 and look at the purchasing power of the dollar and how much purchasing power it's lost, it's insane. And to give a really quick example of that, in any time in 1920, gold was roundabouts $20 an ounce. And you could take a $20 bill and exchange it in a bank for an ounce of gold, interchange. Yep. And at that time, you could buy a nice suit for $20 or an ounce of gold. And today, you can still buy a nice suit for an ounce of gold, but you cannot buy a nice suit with $20. And that's a really good example of showing you just how much the dollar has lost purchasing power. And that definitely, I think, would be considered, I don't know if it's treasonous, but it's conspiring to undermine what America was designed for and to put us in this debt-based slave system. So
yeah, but you know, I don't even count on. First of all, I'm black.
No, you're not.
Second of all, I say that because the Constitution means absolutely nothing to me. For me, it never represented me or my people like that. However, if you are a believer of the Constitution fully, that should have been thrown out many years ago, bro. Like, I can't believe the stuff that I'm seeing on TV and in the news. Like, they're going after Trump, kicking him out of Colorado, kicking him out of Maine, and he hasn't even been charged for it, bro.
Well, they were attacking the people who were representing Donald Trump. It wasn't just Donald Trump. It's the people that are trying to help Donald Trump that the establishment, in a sense, is attacking as well.
Like Crypto God said, the U.S. is occupied. All right, he's Richard Hart. We're all Richard Hart. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy started.
We are all Richard Hart.
Constitution. I wonder. So the Constitution has something called the First Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Government shall make no law against free talking and all that stuff, right? Well, it turns out that Gary Gensler and the Securities Exchange Commission is actually doing a lot in violation of their oath. It turns out that they're violating a lot of what the Constitution is supposed to be protected from. So the Constitution says you have a right to freedom of movement, a right to freedom of association, a right to freedom of speech. There's other legal doctrines like the right to contract, which, you know, if you interfere with other people's contracts, is tortious interference and you get sued for it. It can cost you money. You have a whole bunch of rights in there, right? And then there's things that are like even harsher violations. So if you're going to violate people's free speech, one of the worst ways to do that is with something called prior restraint, where you don't even give them the chance to speak. Well, listen to this. Blockchain networks are communication networks. They carry speech. The first Bitcoin block carried a copy of a newspaper article. Blockchain networks are speech. And the software that consists of blockchain networks, the nodes, the wallets, those are just word processing assistants. They just help you format your speech in a way that other participants can understand.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Rice.
No, you're totally right. I am. What do you think about that?
What part?
What he was just saying about code basically being speech, that all of this technology being speech.
It is, man. But again, you see what happened with Tornado Cash. And when I saw that, bro, last year, you know, people made a big fuss about it, but it's actually deeper than that. Meant a lot. That was a really crazy moment in crypto, in our constitution, if you want to call it as well, in our country, where you would have a government
Well, he hasn't.
put
Has
a
he?
piece of code on a
Has he been
damn.
found guilty by the court, or has he just been arrested and held?
I don't know, but that's
Okay, 'cause
not
I
the
don't
part
know.
I'm
I don't.
talking about. I'm talking about them putting the code on the on a sanctions list.
Right. Yeah, I know.
That's
It's like,
crazy.
it's like guilty before being. It's like being found guilty before you're.
He mentioned something about prior restraint. Right? They
Right.
do this now, and this is so true. I was watching Redacted. Redacted interviewed an ex FBI agent. I don't know if you saw that episode. But the
Not sure.
FBI agent talked about, he's a whistleblower now. He said through the FISA courts, they can basically come and investigate you, interrogate you, do all these things. I forgot what he did. It wasn't a civil or criminal. It was under some other intelligence, under the guise of intelligence. So they can come at you from an intelligence perspective, not a criminal or civil, and do whatever the hell they want.
Right, and when we're saying they, though, we're talking about the government.
The government.
So
I'm sorry. Yes. The
And
government.
to read even just the Wikipedia, Wikipedia says a prior restraint of censorship imposed, usually by a government or institution, on expression that prohibits particular instances of expression. And then the dictionary Oxford Language definition is judicial suppression of material that would be published or broadcast on the grounds that it is libelous, I think libelous is correct, and harmful. In U.S. law, the First Amendment severely limits the ability of the government to do this. Is what it says.
That's crazy.
I mean, maybe that wasn't a past case, but obviously a lot of things have changed within our government, and that's where when he talks about domestic terrorists, people need to really pay attention, because a lot has taken place within our country. Our country has been, in a sense, a corporate takeover by the federal government, and they've usurped all people's rights and put all three branches of the government under one branch. And that is not what our founding fathers fought hard and brave for.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and get us back on track.
All right.
So when you try and interfere with the blockchain, you're interfering with communication. You're interfering with communications network. You are performing prior restraint. Your interference in these things is creating a chilling effect. You are interfering with people's association. You are interfering with people's right to contract with each other. You're interfering with specific contracts. You are doing multiple things in violation of your oath to protect the Constitution. You're doing it outside of congressional authority. You're doing it outside of your mandate. So I don't understand how America became the carceral state. America has the highest rate of incarceration of any nation that's ever existed in the history of mankind.
Sure does.
And yet you see very few lawsuits against people in the government. It just doesn't seem to match up to me. If you have extremely high rates of the government putting people in prison, shouldn't you have also high rates of some of the people being put in prison kind of suing the government for violating their rights?
You should.
I mean, you go around the world and you can't even in some countries get 20 years for murder. But in the United States, they can't like time like it's candy. You can get 20 years very easily for doing lots of different things. Very easy to get 20 years in the United States.
Thanks, Joe Biden. Crime bill.
Crime
Putting
bill.
all my brown people in jail. I appreciate it, buddy.
It's poor. It's poor people. A lot of it is it would be people of the Black African American descent.
Okay, I give you that. It's poor because poor. Yeah, it is. It's
Hispanic,
poor.
White.
Yep.
As Ken Bozak says, off-white trash.
Off-white. All right, Ron. Shout out to Ken Bozak, man. Where you at, man? Where you at?
He needs to get his head right. I need to get in touch with him, actually. I want to try to see if he wants to do something. I'll keep everybody updated. But let's go ahead and keep this thing going.
Isn't that cruel and unusual? By the way, Bill of Rights has a rule against cruel and unusual punishment. Shouldn't there be more lawsuits over this? Isn't it cruel and unusual that for things that aren't murder, you're getting what the entire rest of the world considers to be murder punishments? And I think even in the United States, you see crimes that just you're going to get punished harder for nonviolent crimes and violent crimes in a lot of instances. Doesn't make any sense. Or like metacrime that doesn't even have a victim. These things are like, they're not healthy. They're not good. And it's how you end up with the highest rate of incarceration in the history of mankind. So do you really have the rights you're not willing to fight for? Probably not. So you got to fight for these rights. And it's just tragic because so few people have the funding or the ability to stand up to the blowback to fight for your rights. I mean, when the ex-president of the United States is having lawfare used against him so that he can't run for office, that's what they do in the third world. The people in power use the executive branch and the police to make it so that no one can run against them, so they just keep winning. That's not good for democracy, guys. It's really not.
You know, this really, when I heard him say a lot of these things, it really surprised me. And as he talks about the fact that he left America, but yet seems to care about what's happening in America, and he seems very educated. He seems like maybe because of these lawsuits, because of his situation, he's educating himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it that, or is it what My Crypto Space UK is saying? Put his comment up.
Let me pull it up.
It cracks me up. Richard Hart was driving Ferraris, making a movie. Look at him now. It's not about making money. It's a human rights issue now.
How far up is that?
I don't know, bro. But I mean,
this is the last one I thought I saw.
No, you got to scroll down. I kind of see what you're saying there, My Crypto Space. Like, he has turned a different cheek, and he's singing a different tune now, for sure. And you know, sometimes getting in jams like this will have you self-reflect a little bit more and start looking at things that's more meaningful, not the superficial stuff. So I don't know.
Right. And for all the people that are haters of Richard Hart, really just kind of take an instance and don't think about the reasons why you hate Richard Hart and really listen to what he has to say, because he does have a lot of important things that people need to pay attention to and really think about. Something that I would like to discuss after we're done reacting.
I just want to drive this point home, because I'm seeing a lot of people say this in the chat room. This is very true. 80% of the incarceration is black men. So we do have to drive that home. It's the modern day slavery. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Not like, you're supposed to have free and fair elections where people are allowed to choose between different parties, and you're not supposed to, once again, this is just like prior restraint. You're not supposed to, before they can run, make sure they can't run, because how can you have a fair election when the people that you want to unelect are in control of who gets to run against them? It doesn't make sense. And then, you know, if you give the government this power that they shouldn't have, at some point you'll get a bad team in charge, and that bad team will abuse that power. And so traditionally, the founding fathers figured it out, that there should be checks and balances. You shouldn't just rely on one person being good for everything to work out. You should assume that occasionally someone's going to suck, some bad guy's going to get power, and you should have a checks and balance. So, you know, the legislative branch is supposed to write the law, the executive branch is supposed to execute it, the judicial branch is supposed to, you know, be in the middle, making sure that everything works right between the two. Right now, the administrative state, a fourth branch of government that's not supposed to exist, of unelected bureaucrats, is writing all the laws, encumbering millions of people with regulations, and there's no counterplay. Your counterplay is to sue them in court and get them declared arbitrary and capricious. So, how many times recently has the SEC been declared arbitrary and capricious? Numerous times. Numerous. So in the Ripple case, the judge basically said that the SEC lawyers were not performing with a faithful allegiance to the law and was changing their story based on, you know, getting whatever they wanted. The SEC just recently, their lawyers were lying in a case, and the judge caught them in the lies and said, well, now that you've been caught in these lies, explain to me why I shouldn't sanction you and fine you directly. Fine the SEC lawyer that was lying to the court. And then you see all of his bosses at the SEC jump in there like, we're sorry, Your Honor. Please don't fine us, bro. Don't sanction us, bro. We're going to retrain everybody. And so I will let you guys know where to find these specific documents. This is only a couple days old. The SEC... So then you see this guy's bosses at the SEC throwing him under the bus and throwing junior guys under the bus, if I remember correctly, you know, and then talking about how they're going to retrain all their litigators and how they're getting rid of that guy and they're putting in new guys. And you're like, hey, you know what? You wouldn't have these problems if you didn't lie to the judge. So you don't need to train your guys on how to not lie to the judge. And this isn't the only thing, right? The SEC has lost 4 of their last 5 cases in front of the Supreme Court. Gary Gensler likes to go on television speaking outside of his capacity of the SEC. So he'll go in interviews with people and say that he's not speaking on behalf of the SEC. Well, buddy, that means you're speaking on behalf of yourself, which means it's actionable. Okay, you are speaking on behalf of yourself, and you are moving markets, and you are manipulating markets. You, Gary Gensler, are manipulating markets outside of your authority at the SEC, which means you are personally responsible. You hear me hedging the heck out of my language because I don't want to catch a case. Not financial advice. Do your own research. No forward-looking statements. But you, buddy, you're on record teaching at MIT saying that 75% of tokens are not securities. And then you get a job. You got your round trip. You got your revolving door. You got your 16 years at Goldman Sachs. But now you get to regulate Goldman Sachs. That's a good round trip you got there, buddy. You get to defend all your friends that you make all your money with. Hey, where's all your money, Gary? It's with all your friends that you're helping out by screwing the competitors, right? So in Gary's world, and by the way, sorry, I would love to see Gary Gensler catch a charge for his manipulating markets with his speech outside.
Stop the music. Stop the music.
I did, man. I did.
He's telling the truth, right? He's telling the truth, Rice. But the problem is, see, because he's white, he thinks he can just say whatever and get away with it. They're gonna run his ass through the ringer. Do you hear me? They're gonna run.
Here's the thing. You
can't say this while you have an open investigation with SEC,
After listening to him, I think they might have a problem on their hands. He's a smart motherfucker.
No. They're going to make an example out of him.
I think I said that initially, but I'm now that I'm listening to him, he's probably got attorneys that are way smarter than him that's helping him to learn this stuff. So I really
you can't publicly. It's all about optics with the government, and optically you can't do these types of videos, bro, and think you're going to win against the 800-pound gorilla. The shit it's not optically not going to be favorable for him. When Reggie was going through it, where was the video from Richard? Go back to that. I got same advice from him as I did Reggie. Run. Hey. Yeah, I don't know, Rice. I don't know, man.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch because, again, if you listen to what he's saying now, I don't know about he's not necessarily talking about his legal situation. He's talking about opinions dealing with stuff that's very similar that could be on par and parallel, but it's not specifically. So I don't think that this could really cause him. Because at this point, I don't see himself being stupid enough to cause himself any more problems than he might have already done.
Rice, he is directly taking shots at Gensler, who's the head of the SEC. Like, you can't do this stuff, bro. Like, you can't do this, man.
I've never heard Richard say anything about black people in crypto.
I don't know. I haven't either. Yeah,
I'm not sure about that.
I don't follow a lot of Richard stuff, so I can't deny or agree with that one. Sorry about that.
I'm assuming, blockchain trends. Mr. Hector ID Blockchain House. Good seeing you, my friend. Swashbuckling Scallywag. Great name. Arr.
It is.
Arr. Okay, so here we go. Let's continue on.
Of his capacity at the SEC. I would love to see him catch a charge for violating his oath. I'd love to see people suing him directly because people don't understand. When the SEC attempts to call something a security, it's like calling hugging, punching, and arresting parents for beating up their kids. It is disgusting. It is a violation of due process. It is a violation of equal protection. People that speak to each other using the blockchain deserve the same rights as people that speak to each other using pens and paper, non-digitally, analog. They should have the same protection of people that use the mail. They should have the same protection of people that use the telephone. So there's so many things going wrong right now. Like,
I personally don't think that if you had to have a lot of older individuals being involved in litigation or this being brought up on a constitutional matter, I'm not sure that they could comprehend the fact that code is speech. Like, it might be something that's like a disconnect for them to just think that it's even possible to correlate the two. But I agree with the statements that code is speech. And I think that having organizations
I agree too.
Right, but there's things that we can do to bring that to the forefront. But he's also said there hasn't been anybody that's really took on the government, that's tried to sue the government. Let's try to sue agencies of the government.
Come on, bro.
And that's so as we get through it, and I'll just continue on because that's partially what he does talk about.
And it's just going to cost millions and millions of dollars to fix it. And I think you could reduce the amount of millions spent if there was some personal responsibility. I think if people were held personally responsible for what they're doing, right? So if you're a guard in a jail and you violate someone's rights, you can be sued around your qualified immunity. If you decide to go outside of your authority and outside of your qualified immunity protection to make statements that damage markets, maybe you should be held personally responsible for that. Maybe you should answer to the court for that. If you say things like, we want to lose more cases because if you're not bringing enough cases, if you're not losing cases, you're not bringing enough, Gary Gensler's on the record saying that. Gary Gensler's on the record in Congress under oath saying that there's a gap in the legislation where they can't regulate exchanges because they're crypto exchanges, not securities exchanges. And then, not so long later, he goes, was I lying then or was I lying now? I don't know, but my story sure has changed. Now we actually have everything we need. Just come in and register, even though there's literally, they've been sued by Coinbase via writ of mandamus. And then the SEC finally responded after delaying and said, actually, we're not going to make any rules.
What'd you say?
Which got blocked. He was saying that Coinbase responded with that legal jargon he just said, and SEC said, nope, we're not going to make a decision. I don't care.
Right, and I think he brings that up. Shit, I took it back by mistake. Where were we at?
Not lie to the judge.
Not there.
Responsible for what they're doing, right? So if you're a guard in a jail and you violate someone's rights, you can be sued around your qualified immunity. If you decide to go outside of your authority and outside of your qualified immunity protection to make statements that damage markets, maybe you should be held personally responsible for that. Maybe you should answer to the court for that. If you say things like, we want to lose more cases because if you're not bringing enough cases, if you're not losing cases, you're not bringing enough, Gary Gensler's on the record saying that. Gary Gensler's on the record in Congress under oath saying that there's a gap in the legislation where they can't regulate exchanges because they're crypto exchanges, not securities exchanges. And then, not so long later, he goes, was I lying then or was I lying now? I don't know, but my story sure has changed. Now we actually have everything we need. Just come in and register, even though there's literally, they've been sued by Coinbase via writ of mandamus. And then the SEC finally responded after delaying and said, actually, we're not going to make any rules. The whole rest of the world's making rules. Japan's making rules. Singapore's making rules. There's new exchange licenses. XRP just got licensed as a money transmitter. VASP, value service, whatever the heck, I don't remember. Virtual asset service provider in Ireland. Coinbase just got virtual asset service provider in France, I think. The whole rest of the world's figured it out. And then there more bad stuff, right? Gary Gensler loses the XRP case. Now, look, is it him specifically? No. But I think he's on the commission of guys that has to vote for what actually gets sued, right? So I think there's like 5 people on the commission, and you need like 3 of 5. And if you get 3 of 5, then they can like bring an action against somebody. I think that's how it works. Not an expert, not a lawyer. So like 3 of 5 guys, and by the way, you see dissenting opinions all the time, right? So Hester Pierce is a commissioner. She's always dissenting. She's dissented in the Stoner Cats case. She's dissented in a bunch of cases. She's going to tell you what we're doing is wrong. Like this stuff that the SEC is doing is wrong. And she's on the board. She's on the commission, right? She's one of the 5 people that gets to vote on these things. And there's another guy, I think his name's Udaya, that like is commonly dissenting with her these days. Now, like, why am I telling you guys about this stuff? Because these are your rights. I don't live in the United States. I haven't lived in the United States for decades. These are your rights. These are your problems. These people are screwing you. You need to do something about it. So the things that I'm telling you, they're obviously true. Like,
unmute John Hill.
Yeah, John Hill says is this one right here. Is he about to cry? He's all right. He's getting humble. Now, when I was watching this, I sped it up. So speeding it up may kind of add like something different to it. It didn't change the pitch of his voice, but I think he goes and gets artificial, goes lays in a tanning bed because his eyes around his eyes are white. He's kind of got that Donald Trump thing going on where you cover up your eyes and you go into a tanning bed.
Richard Trump. All right, let's vote for Richard Trump 2024, ladies and gentlemen.
So I was wondering, I saw him, and when I was watching this, I'm like, you are awfully red, but just around the eyes, you don't see it, which makes sense that either he was outside wearing glasses, but Finland doesn't seem to get that much sun. And so, yeah, my guess is tanning bed. Here we go.
For instance, you can't custody cryptocurrency. Like, I'll give you an example. The IRS is trying to make some law where, like, anybody that could have known about a transaction now has compelled speech and has to, like, gather data on other people, which will be hacked and stolen by Chinese hackers and Russian hackers, but they're just idiots, right? It's just like the SEC themselves. They, in their own annual letter, declare that they can't find experts to work on crypto because they all own crypto and don't want to sell it. And so then they're not allowed to hire people that own crypto. Okay. Well, maybe you guys have a bad setup, or maybe, stop sucking, right? Just stop sucking, guys. If you don't have the expertise to regulate a thing, it's better to do no harm first, right? Like the Hippocrates law that doctors follow, do no harm first. Yeah, like Gary Gensler was making meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried, his buddy, right? His Democrat, Gary Gensler was the treasurer for Hillary Clinton's Democratic campaign for president. He's as political as you can get, I think. Here he is meeting with, Sam Bankman-Fried, who sent tons of money to Democratic, politicians. You got, was it Maxine Waters blowing Sam Bankman-Fried a kiss? Yeah, guys, good one. But you're.
Oh, and by the way, they dropped those charges against Sam Bankman-Fried, which means that all those politicians that accepted funds that were technically customer funds got to keep those, and there's no investigation. So, and we just crossed $34 trillion in U.S. debt.
And so here's the problem, right? Like, people are seeing the comments saying, we need to be doing this, or if you're not for Richard, you're not for freedom, and all this, right? But the problem is that's hilarious right there. Round of applause. Touche. Dude, Richard Hart is living in Bit Boy's closet and letting Bit Boy borrow the clothes.
I thought you were street smart, bro.
That's so beautiful. That's like the best comment I've seen.
That may be the best comment today so far.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Actually, I don't even know what I was talking about, Rice.
That's I don't either, man. We were talking about
I'm saying that people are saying that we should be for Richard Hart and he's about freedom. Sure, I agree with all that. The problem is the majority of the people are sheeple. They're just going by their days, going to work. It's hand to mouth. They got their own issues, and we're not really pressing the government about any of this shit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Once a lot of people wake up to this and we get enough, here's the thing. A lot of the change that's taken place in the world, it didn't take a lot of people to do it. It didn't take a large percentage to do it. In fact, like with the Revolutionary War, I think they said it was like under 10%. It might have been like under 5%. And then at some point, and it was the same way when Ireland was trying to get away from under the control of England. There's a lot of different interesting ways of looking at it. So
okay, in today, that was then. In a digital surveilled society, how many people does it take, Rice? Do you think it's still 10%? I would say no. I would say it would have to take many more people, a larger percentage for that to be the case today.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why Crypto King had shared this with us initially and wanted us to do something with this, because I think there's a lot of important things being said in this video that people need to think about. And maybe there will be some action being taken because of people being encouraged and inspired, regardless of if it's Richard Hart or not, because just what's coming out of his mouth is stuff that needs to be said. To me, this is kind of like very on par with the stuff that I've been hearing from Whitney Webb. It correlates. It's just another side of the entire picture. So we'll go ahead and continue on.
Okay.
You're not going to give the creditors back that money they donated, are you? FTX went bankrupt. Sam Bankman-Fried stole the money, but you politicians aren't going to give back that money that he gave to you that he stole, are you? No, you're not. Why? You might not be good people. You just might not be good people. Not to say that not giving, like, there's some law that covers them so they don't have to give it back or whatever, but that's not what makes you bad. You violating people's rights is what makes you bad, right? I remember COVID. I remember you guys violating everyone's right to move, violating their freedom of movement. I remember you house arresting people. I remember you guys doing that. It was disgusting. I remember you guys now, trying to claim that crypto is used to support Hamas and saying like 60 million, and then you go check the numbers and it's like 800K. What's going on here, guys? Why do you keep lying? Stop lying. Literally just stop lying. So the arguments that I have that are obviously true, that cryptocurrencies are communications networks that might have Rule 210 protections for safe harbor, that might have protections for freedom of speech, freedom of contract, freedom of association, protection against prior restraint. These arguments aren't getting used. They're just not, which is so stupid to me. These are communications networks among peers. It couldn't be any more obvious. This is speech. We are transmitting text. We are transmitting messages. We are transmitting numbers. We are transmitting pictures. We are transmitting art. We are transmitting audio. This is a communications network amongst peers. This is speech. This is speech as speech gets. Right? So the idea that the people just aren't using these arguments is very stupid. Because if you lose a case, you can't bring up new evidence in the appeal.
Stop the music.
So
it's just so crazy, though. This is the problem. He's saying all this as a matter of fact, so matter of factly. Blockchain is speech and it's a communications network. Well, it doesn't matter what we think.
Right, because there's not been a precedent set for that to be the case.
Exactly.
Because as of now, the IRS and a lot of government agencies are looking at Bitcoin specifically as a commodity, which would take it out of any other area.
Yeah, commodity. Yeah, and you know, again, this is not just about Bitcoin. This is about all of blockchain, and they're looking at many of these blockchain networks as securities. That's even a step further. So just because we say something is something, so doesn't mean it is so in the eyes of the people that control and run the judicial system.
Putting this out there for all the other attorneys who may not have thought about some of these ideas, let's say, for example, let's just say they have. I don't know.
Come on, bro. They've thought about this.
I'd like to give Richard Hart a little credit on this one.
You know, and this is the thing I used to say about Reggie Middleton. He used to be very matter-of-factly about a lot of stuff too, right? And it was probably right about many points, right? When it comes to the SEC and everything. It doesn't matter. If the system is rigged, you're going to lose.
What about the idea of us bringing up a class action lawsuit against the SEC or individuals in the SEC for what they're doing for these exact matters, putting together a fund and hiring attorneys and putting together a class action lawsuit against the SEC on behalf of the people?
That reminds me of your buddy.
It's different than the amicus brief stuff.
Right. That method, that strategy reminds me of your buddy Barabbas that we had on Uncensored. Go check that one out. We had him on twice. Great conversation. I love COVID, I think, on Rumble only.
How does it remind you of Stan?
Because he, many times in those interviews when we had him on, he would mention, oh, yeah, we're going to go to the courts and we're going to fight in the court.
Right.
You
and
can't go
right,
to
but he's talking about doing it in a way. He's talking about doing it in a way that would protect the individual's anonymity, and there wouldn't be any way that the people that are actually doing the lawsuit would actually be named.
You can't go into the rigged system
because you use trust in that sense. You have a trust sue something, and that's what he's trying to do when it comes to. That's what he's trying to do. Now, in this particular instance, I think it would be great for people to be on record doing a class action lawsuit. This is something I'm going to look into. I'm going to look into the idea of how much attorneys are going to cost, how much attorneys will be interested. So we'll see. But let's continue. We're about halfway through it.
Cool.
Constitution. I wonder. So the Constitution has something called the First Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Government shall make no law against free talking and all that stuff, right? Well, it turns out that Gary Gensler and the Securities Exchange Commission is actually doing a lot in violation of their oath. It turns out that they're violating a lot of what the Constitution is supposed to be protected from. So the Constitution says you have a right to freedom of movement, a right to freedom of association, a right to freedom of speech. There's other legal doctrines like the right to contract, which, you know, if you interfere with other people's contracts, it's tortious interference and you can get sued for it. It can cost you money. You have a whole bunch of rights in there, right? And then there's things that are like even harsher violations. So if you're going to violate people's free speech, one of the worst ways to do that is with something called prior restraint, where you don't even give them the chance to speak.
Rice.
Well, listen to this.
Man.
Blockchain networks are communication networks. They
everything is so
but you chose not to.
Touchy
and therefore
feely.
You have waived your right to enforce. And then in other cases, I mean, we've seen crypto cases where it was even over the statute of limitations, and then they just ate a judgment anyway, or like the statute of limitations was up. Like what? Why didn't you get good counsel? And why didn't you argue that the statute was up? Like what? Crypto. It's an industry run by clowns and idiots that won't listen. If you guys would listen to me, you wouldn't have lost money in BlockFi. You wouldn't have lost money in Celsius. You wouldn't have lost money in Gemini Earn.
You wouldn't know.
What a fake Bitcoin maximus, right?
Are you just giving him some?
I'm just
some
giving.
applause?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just giving him a round of applause.
I'm just making sure I'm not supposed to pause it,
Yeah.
so you can add your 2 satoshis here again.
Winklevi twins. Yeah, you guys are real Bitcoin maximalists when you're doing the opposite and taking people's private keys from them and giving it to a counterparty, and then all of you getting wrecked together. How stupid are you guys? You guys are idiots. Or how about this one, right? Censorship resistant network. People are putting JPEGs on the Bitcoin network, and the Bitcoin people hate this. They killed it with counterparty and made the op return code size too small for counterparty to operate way back when.
I didn't know that. That's why counterparty went away. Counterparty was still there, but counterparty really couldn't be used because of what Core did.
And this is what they're and just the segue into this is what they're going to do with ordinals. In the next Big Knots version 27, they're going to eliminate ordinals. And you have to ask yourself, guys, like, you know, is Bitcoin really decentralized, or is it being run by one core team?
So I told you I was going to be doing an interview with Amir Taki. After digging into Amir a little bit more, Amir was actually asked to be the original, very first lead developer on Ethereum.
Okay.
He was also the very first Bitcoin core developer to come up with the idea of the Bitcoin improvement proposal. And it was Luke Dash Jr. that somehow got a proposal that was accepted after his. So this guy is a real OG, and I'm really looking forward to doing the interview with him because he's a big privacy guy. It was him and Cody Wilson, the guy who did the 3D printed guns at Dark Wallet.
Okay.
I didn't realize how much of an OG this guy was and how much he had been involved in. So yeah, we'll continue.
Even Tether used to operate only on the Bitcoin network. So USDT used to operate on Keller Coins, which was on the Bitcoin network, and then they stopped doing it because the fees sucked and the features sucked. And so they moved over to primarily EVM networks now, which Ethereum was the first one. The E in EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. So like Pulse Chain's an EVM network. So you have this. So Jack, who was at the helm of Twitter when they were helping the United States government violate your rights to freedom of speech by the government themselves, giving them lists of people to silence and de-amplify and ban because they talked about COVID or Joe Biden's laptop or his son Hunter Biden's laptop full of pictures of him smoking crack and getting down with hookers. You know, and by the way, the idea that Joe Biden's kid gets a bunch of jobs in Ukraine with no qualifications and a bunch of money from China and Ukraine,
Come on, guys.
and then writes his dad checks and pays for dad's cell phone bill.
And gets away
Man, you
with
busted, bro. Yo, in the carceral state of America, where nearly anything's a crime and nearly anything gets you 20 years, Joe Biden, I got bad news for you, buddy. It ain't looking good for you, man. Why is your kid writing you checks? And why does he have jobs in countries that we're sending billions of dollars to? What's that? Like, what? Stop. Dude, no, don't. Like, oh, America, man. I left America, what, 2003? 20 years ago.
Did
I left
he
America
renounce
20
his
years ago.
citizenship or
And
no?
yet, here I am, spending my days.
That's one thing I don't know. I don't know if he expatriated or if he's like dual citizenship or what his situation is. It could be I don't know. He doesn't really state that. Like someone like Roger Ver, he expatriated where he rescinded his U.S. citizenship. And there's like X amount of time that you've got to still comply with certain things before they technically let you give up your full citizenship. So like something like 7 to 10 years, you still got to pay taxes, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn. And that it brings one more point. I'm sure many people watching knows this, but there are only 2 countries that do this: United States and how do you say it? Eritrea.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Eritrea is a small country in Africa. It's right next to Ethiopia. Those are the only 2 countries in the world that taxes their people, bro. Like we gotta wake up, man. Like we live in a prison state, man. It's
Prison
crazy.
Planet.
I guess. All right.
Planet of the Apes, Prison Planet. Here we go.
Doing legal research to try and make America a better place. Sucks for me, bro. Sucks for me. Left 20 years ago, didn't get any of that free helicopter money, didn't get any free money checks, didn't get any loans, that
answers
any of that crap that everyone else in America apparently.
If he didn't get any of the stimulus and helicopter money, then yeah, either he didn't do something to get it because it would be tax based. So he probably did expatriate, I would imagine, because he likes his money. He doesn't want to give it away to government. So I'm sure he expatriated and doesn't give the government anything.
Right.
That might be another reason why they're pissed at him.
Yeah, but here I am, still trying to make it a better place because my people. I care about my people. That's why I'm doing a Christmas video for you guys, and that's why I give you so many things away for free.
We love you, Richard. You're such a good
free
dick.
book. T.me/Scivive, SCIVIVE. 2 free books there. Free coins. Pulsechain.com. Hex.com. What else? There's so many things I like. Let me tell you how smart I am. Okay.
Let me tell. Wait, hold on. Let me tell you how smart I am. There's that boy. There he is. It's creeping out, Rice. He couldn't keep it. Couldn't keep it humble for long.
It's Richard fucking Hart. What do you expect?
Keep it humble for long.
What do you expect? I didn't think of this as being humble by any means. This is all like Richard knowing a lot of information. Richard telling everybody what they should be doing. He's like, listen to me. If you would listen to me, you would listen to me. Now again, since I told you listen to me, now I'm going to tell you how smart I am.
Right.
All right.
Hilarious.
You could have minted Hex for free during the first year. You could have minted it for free. Boy, that Richard, you smart guy.
Talking in third person.
The Silk Road hacker.
We should do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that for the new year, Rice. Start talking in third.
Yeah, we'll just make that our thing.
The Chinese government that took all the Bitcoin away from the Plus token Ponzi, that caused the pump, like, I don't even remember what year it was.
2016.
None of those guys can mint free Hex because there was a timer on it. You can only count it for the first 365 days. Mount Gox, sorry guys, you don't get any free Hex. So awesome. And actually, the Gox addresses were just removed. So even if they had made it before the timer, they were just not allowed to anyway.
So he censored addresses, by the way. So he excluded specific addresses from being able to claim Hex right off the bat. Yeah, I didn't know it either.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's his blockchain. We have the freedom to use it.
I know, but how do you feel about that?
I don't like it. I don't like the idea. I mean, I think it's kind of because it's, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's not like he blocked specific people. He blocked people that were involved with exchanges and things like that, like the Mt. Gox hack. I think there was something else maybe he blocked, but it was kind of like Robinhood shit in a sense. Mm-hmm. It's like blocking the right people for the community, not allowing people who already have something to gain more. But I don't know. Let's just continue on.
Better design. Instead of getting your head dumped on by the government took the Silk Road hackers' coins. He's going to dump them on you. The government took the Bitfinex hackers' coins. He's going to dump them on you. The government took FTX's coins. They're going to dump them on you. You guys love giving the government your coins to dump them on you, don't you? You love it. You just can't get enough of it. But Richard Hart design stuff doesn't have this problem. Yay. Well done, Mr. Hart.
Well done, Mr. Hart.
So I think...
Good dick.
I have a very high degree of certainty that you're going to see these constitutional arguments, prior restraint, freedom of association, freedom of speech, Rule 210, safe harbor.
Real quick, though, I will say in regards to if he wants to censor addresses, I do know, I was talking to Richard very heavily at the time period before Hex started. That's back when he was nice enough to follow me, but he unfollowed me, and I have no contact with him anymore, where I used to just be able to reach out to him with no problem.
What's that about? What
hiding? I don't know. Ego and hiding? I'm not sure. I really am not sure. But at the same time, I wasn't like somebody who was like jumping on promoting Hex and promoting Pulse. So maybe that had something to do with it. Sometimes people just unfollow people. It may have. Yeah. But I will say, like, when Hex was first beginning, and this is what we're talking in reference to with the centralization comment, is that he paid out of pocket for all of the work that was done, and there were numerous audits that were done. Like he went through a whole ordeal. That's why I really thought everything was good up until the part he was offering basically to buy Hex with Ethereum, and he gets the Ethereum and you get the Hex, which was money printer go burr for Mr. Hart.
Yeah.
protections. There's a wide, equal protection, due process. Guys violating their rights, guys lying to the court. I think you're going to see these come up. I think you're going to see these come up in SEC cases. If you don't see them in amicus, you're going to see them in motions to intervene. You're going to see these. You're going to see these arguments. They're going to be happening. And then the courts are going to have to decide. And here's the funny thing. Sometimes you get a judge, and it's a good, honest judge. Understands stuff, right? So for instance, in the Coinbase case, they got Judge Fiala. And Judge Fiala also got a class action lawsuit against Uniswap. And she rejected it and dismissed the case because she was like, no, Uniswap isn't a securities exchange. And the founders of Uniswap and the people that designed the software are not supposed to have, you can't pretend that they're an exchange and they owe you some due diligence and all this crap. So she understands automated market makers. She understands Uniswap. And that's the judge in the Coinbase case. So, that's awesome, right? Like she ruled correctly in a class action lawsuit against Coinbase. She's therefore, maybe will rule correctly in the Coinbase case. Maybe they'll win on their motion for judgment on the pleadings, just similar to motion to dismiss. It depends on what judge you get and how much due diligence they want to put in. And there's a lot of cases out there, right? Like you've got the case against the tornado guys. You've got the IRS. I guess that comment period's over, but you've got now the OFAC Treasury comment period regarding trying to make all mixers illegal, which is the dumbest thing ever. Like, hey guys, here's the Fourth Amendment. It says you have a right to privacy. Here's the United Nations, human rights thing that everyone signed off on, that we believe that these are the rights humans should have, and privacy is one of them. Freedom of movement's one of them too. But then you go make all these laws that are the opposite of it. You can't say that people have a right to privacy and then do everything you can to violate their privacy. It's not consistent. It doesn't make sense. You're violating the Constitution. Please stop. And they're just doing it all over the place. And people aren't fighting back. Like, you can't have a functioning...
They've been violating our Constitution for quite some time. If we just want to go back to 1913, the creation of the Federal Reserve, how that passed. Correct. If we want to look at the fact that from a constitutional standpoint... Can I just give you a shameless
plug really quickly? You've interviewed G. Edward Griffin 3 or 4 times now, the author of three. The author of Jekyll the Creature from Jekyll Island. Go watch those interviews, guys, and definitely read the book. It goes through that whole creation of the Federal Reserve. It's crazy. You're right, bro. It's been happening. It's just getting more blatant.
But even another thing is, since when Richard Nixon in 1971 officially took us off the gold standard, our money was technically no longer backed by anything. And the Constitution states that the money is supposed to be backed by gold and silver. So none of our money is not even constitutional. So there's so many things that, obviously, if they've been able to get away with these kind of things, like taxation of our labor, creation of the IRS, devaluation of the dollar, everything that they've been doing, and they're not getting the pushback, then they're going to continue to see what they can get away with until people push back. And eventually, I'd like to think that enough people will push back. And I always have that saying that when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people.
Human beings are not designed to operate well in non-private environments. That's why we wear clothes. That's why we close our blinds. That's why we lock our doors. That's why we don't share our toothbrushes. Human beings function well when they have privacy. They do not function well without it. And it's crazy to me that these people, if you can call them that, keep trying to violate everybody's rights over and over and over and over and over again. It's enough. Please let us be free. Please. The founding fathers fought and died for our freedom. Many Americans have fought and died for our freedom. Can we please have our freedom? Pretty please? You guys should go get real jobs producing things that people want, goods and services people want. If you're just removing people's freedom all day, there's a chance you're not helping society. There's a chance you're hurting society. So, unfortunate. All right. So, you lawyers out there, you need to cover your First Amendment, equal protection, free speech, freedom of contract. There's a whole lot of things that you're not using that you're going to wish you'd used if you have to go to appeal. And it would be nice to have the precedent set.
Now that I feel like was a selfish statement, because he's putting all this stuff out. He's telling everybody you should be using this and you need to be using this in your case, because if you don't use it in your case, you can't use it in the appeal. And it would be great if we had a precedent set, because I have a case coming up and I need a precedent.
Right.
That's what I was gathering there.
Yeah, exactly.
What else? Oh, I made like a little list. Let's hit the list. Oh yeah, cryptocurrency is awesome, right? They keep printing money out of thin air. Prices are all-time highs. Crypto solves that, right? Like cryptocurrency is still the best performing asset that has ever existed in the history of mankind. Very cool. It has better uptime. It has better resilience. It has better robustness. It has better durability. It has better price performance. It has better features. Cryptocurrency is awesome. The freedom to transact underlies all other rights. So if you don't have the right to transact with people, which is something that the founding fathers assumed everyone would have, right? They paid people directly. There wasn't all these stupid intermediaries. If you don't have that, you don't have the right. You don't have the freedom of movement if you can't pay for your bus ticket.
Did they
You don't
pay
have
the
freedom of speech
slaves?
if you can't buy an internet connection or send a letter. You need to be able to transact to use any of your other rights. Without the freedom to transact, you don't
You want to talk about that?
No, I just wanted to lick a shot. No,
All
he
right.
didn't.
have any other rights. Man, I covered a lot of stuff on this list. That's good.
Man, I'm
Oh,
good.
the SEC custodying coins. Okay, I'll cover that.
He's thinking. We're watching a genius
The two
think,
things I see on the
people.
list that I didn't cover are one, the Securities and Exchange Commission is custodying cryptocurrency right now, via their comment section. With 100% certainty, the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States has received cryptocurrency in the form of, this is by their definition. By my definition, the real one, you cannot even custody cryptocurrency. You can't, it's impossible. But by their definition, the wrong one, knowing the seed words means that you've received an airdrop, you have to pay tax. So I can tell you with 100% certainty that both the Security Exchange Commission and the IRS Treasury have both received seed words that have money in them to Bitcoin, and they've both received time lock Bitcoin. Both. And they've both received the Uniswap code. So they're hosting for public display the Uniswap code for exchanging cryptocurrencies, time locked Bitcoin, and the seed words to them, and not time locked Bitcoin and the seed words to them. And they can't even know what else those seed words control because it's not knowable because of the halting problem, which states that you can't know whether code will eventually halt or not until you eventually run it. And by that same token, you can't know what derivation paths hold private keys which match values on public blockchain networks because you don't know what derivation path is being used and you don't know how far down that derivation path you'd have to go to exhaust all the possibility of keys that might control things. I don't think it's knowable. Therefore, their concept of what hosting an exchange is, or what requires you to know your customer, or what a customer is, or what custody is, should all be invalidated by proof by absurdity, right? Because if there are stupid rules that they're trying to make made any sense, or were true, then they're all guilty and they all have tax right now. So anybody that works at the SEC that read that comment that had those seed words now has dominion and control and should owe tax now, right? By your guys' rules. Well, guys, did you register as a securities exchange? Did you register as a custodian? The SEC is trying to pretend that every cryptocurrency is a... I didn't explain this harshly enough, and I should do that now. The Securities and Exchange Commission is violating their oath by becoming a domestic enemy of the Constitution that they're supposed to fight against. They're becoming a domestic enemy of the Constitution, and they are trying to classify hugging as punching and trying to arrest parents. That's an analogy. They're trying to classify speech as securities. They're trying to classify entering a block and communicating publicly with everyone. If it were true, if it's true that you can't trade securities without a securities exchange, then it's also likely true that you can't pay someone to include your speech in a block, because the only method by which these networks allow you to include your speech in a block, nearly primarily or nearly entirely, is by paying a fee to be included in the block. And
Real quick, I want to add that it's really funny he's saying that the SEC is violating their constitutional oath when the SEC itself is unconstitutional.
Right.
Because there was only 19, I believe, enumerated powers that were given in the Constitution, and since then it exceeded that. And any agency that we've seen, like the FBI, the CIA, any of these organizations that are governmental that weren't in the original 19 enumerated powers would technically be considered unconstitutional. So that in and of itself is funny that he's saying that they're in violation of their constitutional oath as an unconstitutional government agency. Yeah.
native currency. Well, they're trying to undo all that. They're trying to make it so that you can't speak because they're trying to pretend that your speech is a security. That's a violation of their oath. That's a violation of the Constitution. That's a violation of your rights. That's a violation of due process. You're not allowed to play pretend. You're not allowed to pretend that hugging is punching and arresting parents. You're not allowed to pretend that speech is a security. Speech is not a security. Speech is speech. You can turn anything into a security if you want to. You can turn an orange into a security. You can turn an orange tree into a security. You can turn anything into a security. But that doesn't mean that they are securities. An orange is an orange. It's not a security unless you work really hard to make it so, by including an investment contract. So you buying a coin and using that coin to purchase speech on a distributed peer-to-peer open source network, that's speech, man. That's as speech gets. So the concept that you're going to de facto ban cryptocurrency around the jurisdiction of the legislative branch is also a violation of the separation of powers doctrine. It's also a violation of the non-delegation doctrine. Google these things. What they're doing is illegal, and they should be held personally responsible for it. And they are acting outside of qualified immunity, I might add. Some of it might be covered in a qualified immunity. A lot of it shouldn't be. And they should be held personally responsible. And I would like to see someone from every state of the union sue these people for the rights of yours that they're violating. They have addresses, and they've got a lot of money, and they should be sued for what they're doing. Let the courts decide whether what they did was okay. Avail yourself of your ability to petition the court for.
My question, if Richard Hart, who likes to stroke his own ego, watches a video of a reaction of something he did, which hopefully he is, I would like to say that, would you support and give funding, donate funds to people so that they could start looking into everyone in every state of the union actually doing a lawsuit? Because it wouldn't be something that would be cheap. And knowing how rich you are and the fact that you have the world's largest diamond and you have all those designer clothes and that you now have this change of heart, no pun intended, Dick, we support us all. We donate to the funds so that we can actually take these lawsuits, because that's the problem, like you said earlier in this video, is that people don't have the funds to fight the government. So you, Mr. Richard Hart, obviously have the funds. You're so smart and you're so rich, and we could all use your assistance. By the way, we're looking for investors and backers in our channel, so we'll continue on.
Your wrongness, the wrong that's been done to you. Wrongness wasn't the right word. The harms that you've suffered. So it's sad that we live in a world with so little personal responsibility, that unelected bureaucrats that have hundreds of millions of dollars that they've received working for people that have received billions of dollars of fine. Goldman Sachs has gotten so many fines, so many, along with so many other giant entities that these scumbags are protecting. They're violating your rights to protect people that want to also violate your rights. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's tragic. There's few things in the world that are trying to return the power to the people, as the founding fathers did. Who out there is working for your right to communicate with your fellow man? Who out there is working for your right to be able to save money without it being debased? Who out there is working for your right to your freedom to transact, which underpins all the other rights that you're supposed to have? Cryptocurrency is one of the few industries in the world really trying to return power to the people and introduce efficiency into extremely inefficient systems. And it's just, how can Gary Gensler support
Gotta
Bitcoin
stop it there.
as though it were an immaculate?
He makes a good point about cryptocurrencies making it more efficient, right? Moving money, taking it back to an efficient event, right? But it's so crazy. We're going the opposite way, Rice. We're trying to bring Wall Street into, I saw someone say, this is a monumental moment that we're getting the spot Bitcoin ETF, because now it bridges the gap between TradFi and blockchain.
Right. People just don't realize. I mean, eventually, and that's where I think that's what I'm going to be making it more of my mission this year, is to spread that message of what was. And I'm going to be doing a video and just specifically sharing just those two clips from those recent interviews with Whitney Webb. Because
like Bitcoin crossed the bridge and blew it up. At least that's what it was supposed to do.
It was supposed to be an answer to get away from the banks,
exactly,
not to keep the banks bullshit going. It wasn't
so
even supposed to be a tool of the banks.
We're having this conversation in the crypto space about this spot Bitcoin ETF, and ooh, Massa, when you gonna bring that Bitcoin spot ETF? And we're right, we're missing the whole point. Like, literally, it is the easiest thing to do.
Go buy some bringing Bitcoin. Up that reference, all these people supporting the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm just going to start calling you guys Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom's. There you go. Round of applause.
Uncle Tom in Satoshi's cabin.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's sad, bro. We don't, it's so easy to buy Bitcoin and store it. Even if you want to store it with someone, I wouldn't I wouldn't go that far. But let's say people that are less technically inclined, right? Buy it on Coinbase and leave it there. You don't need Wall Street to help you buy some Bitcoin.
No, as a matter of fact, I mean, we have gotten where we are today with Bitcoin specifically without the need for TradFi.
Right, the most expensive currency in the world. Yeah.
So I mean, we don't need it, and for people to think that, and this is just getting a little off track, but we're almost at the end of this. But for people to need that validation to realize the importance of Bitcoin when it undermines everything that Bitcoin was created for. Is just a travesty, and it's people should really take that in consideration. So I would like to think that, and I'm hoping that a lot of content creators are going to do some reflecting. And people, well, I like to think a little bit more positively. I know there's going to be some people that think like-minded to us, whether we're in the majority or minority. That's what we'll see.
Right.
All right, here we go.
Few industries in the world really trying to return power to the people and introduce efficiency into extremely inefficient systems. And it's just, how can Gary Gensler support Bitcoin as though it were an immaculate conception that had a fact pattern that nothing else could ever possibly have? He speaks out of both sides of his mouth. He does everything he can to make sure that the ETFs never happen, never passes any rules, doesn't respond to Congress, is being threatened with subpoena by Congress, who's supposed to be his overseer, worked for the people that he's supposed to be regulating, and he's now choosing winners and losers in the technology sector, and the winner that he chose sucks. Bitcoin is not supposed to cost $9 to send. It's supposed to have larger blocks. It's supposed to have more features. Bitcoin sucks, guys. It's not good.
I am glad he did say it's supposed to have larger blocks, because I am more on the big block side. And I think that instead of censoring, which will be brought up, I think he brings Luke Dash Jr.'s name up here in a second, but instead of censoring the Bitcoin network and filtering out the ordinals, I think that they should just do what is the most prudent thing to do, is to expand the block size, because we've seen enough forks take place that expansion of the block size is not detrimental to the networks.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go unlimited and do some BSV thing. Speaking of BSV, Coinbase is delisting BSV as of 5 days from now.
Wow.
Pretty sure it has something to do with the Copa lawsuit, though.
Interesting.
Because Coinbase was part of Copa. That's suing Craig Wright. Here we go.
It has a lot of liquidity, and some billionaires are buying it. Fabulous. But other than that, it's trash. Not good software. Doesn't have a good roadmap. Doesn't have good developers. Oh yeah, Jack that ran Twitter while censoring people on behalf of the government in violation of the Constitution, now funded a pool for Bitcoin miners that was censoring JPEG transactions, and was designed by an idiot. One of the few blockchain developers to get hacked for his coins. What? Why? Jack, you're an idiot. Jack, you're an idiot. Your beard looks stupid.
Your beard looks stupid.
I do like that. Jack, you're an idiot and your beard looks stupid.
Yo, that's hilarious.
Let's take that back just a quick second there. Here we go.
Blockchain developers to get hacked for his coins. What? Why? Jack, you're an idiot. Jack, you're an idiot and your beard looks stupid. I didn't like what you did at Twitter. It was disgusting. And now I don't like what you're doing with your stupid pool. Stop being an idiot. Jack, you're an idiot. You don't have to be an idiot. Watch my live streams. I'll educate you, okay? I'm good at crypto. You're bad at crypto. I'm good at free speech. You're bad at free speech. You suck, not. Jack. You suck. God, what's his name?
Luke Dash Jr.
Luke Dash Jr. Luke Jr., you suck. You're terrible, okay? Like, just,
Crypto Blood, I thought you were street smart, bro.
I agree so much with that because Luke Dash Jr. is the one who's in charge of the Bitcoin improvement proposals, the BIPs, and he's the one who is calling for this banning of the ordinals, which he has been doing pretty much all of 2023. And it looks like the little bitch is going to get his way. Again, just to remind people, he is one of the co-founders of Blockstream.
Yep.
Here we go.
Here's the good news. Pulse chain is working perfectly. Axe is working perfectly. You've got all the tools you need to make the world a better place. You are the network. You guys, somebody made these bots. Somebody's made some fiat on ramps. Somebody's made lending. Like, good job, guys. Keep being the change that you wish to see. Keep creating, keep working. Look, I've been in Bitcoin since it was 50 cents. I bought it at 30, it went down to 2. My introduction to crypto more or less was 95% drop. And now it's 43K. Okay, so I was mining at 50 cents. Now it's $43,000. That's an 86,000x. That's not bad, right? There's going to be volatility. There's going to be ups and downs. You have the tools that you need to create great things. You really, really do. You have something better than Bitcoin will ever be. Now, you have something now that is better than Bitcoin will ever be. That's enough, man. That is enough. You have what you need to create greatness. And I think you're going to see regulatory clarity coming up. I wouldn't be surprised to see Coinbase win their case. Their legal filings sound awesome, right? That response to the complaint that they wrote was beautiful, really well written, worth reading more than once. So those guys did a great job. And then, you'll probably see good arguments in the Kraken case. And they've also got a lot of amicus briefs from other people as well. Some are okay. So I think you're going to get regulatory clarity. And I would love to see personal responsibility from individuals acting outside of their qualified immunity to violate your rights. Your right to associate, your right to transact, your right to speak. It's disgusting. And they should be held personally responsible if the courts allow it. And you don't know unless you try. You really don't know unless you try.
If the courts allow it, and you really don't know if you don't try.
Yeah, man.
That's it. That is it, my friend. That is. And again, I have the link down below for the actual full video.
What's your overall thoughts on that video?
I'm glad he said what he said. I think there's a lot of thought-provoking things in there. I'm hoping that people will think. I'm hoping it will start to maybe inspire some people. I'm hoping that there's other people out there saying things like this as well.
There have been so many things prior to this video that should have been thought-provoking and inspirational within the crypto space. I don't think a Richard Hart video is going to spark any further. If it ain't happened yet, it ain't going to happen,
and I get
bro.
your point. I get your point. I do.
Yeah, I think he said a lot of things that were true. I also think that he's only doing this. Let me say this. If he weren't being pursued by the SEC right now, you have to ask yourself, would he be doing this video? And a lot of people out there that are Hex followers, I don't follow him, so maybe I'm wrong, but I see a lot of you saying he does videos or has done videos like this in the past many times. I don't know, but I'm just wondering, like, would he have done a video like this?
I've seen videos where he's told people like how some technologies are more superior than other technologies and how different cryptocurrency projects can be better. But I'm not necessarily recalling him talking about code as speech, us suing the government, the SEC and different agencies being domestic terrorists. I've not personally heard that. So if you guys enjoyed this live stream, I encourage you, make sure you smash that like, Bodie. What do you think about that outfit? The best part is he's in front of a peacock. He's in front of a peacock.
Why?
And that's like dressing. That's a man dressing as a peacock, because men, they dress like, it's like I didn't know this. Birds, like female birds, are very plain looking. But
Yeah,
the male birds are all like,
yeah,
but not just peacocks. This goes for a lot of birds.
Okay.
Ducks goes for a lot of different.
Ducks. Yep, I knew that.
So. Yeah, the fact that he's peacocking in front of a peacock, I just think is great while he's twerking. Peacocking in front of a peacock while twerking. We
don't see that Richard Hart anymore. I can say that, which is again interesting. You have to take all that into context.
Well, look. He got sheets and covered up his chair. He got sheets and covered up the background. It's just some plain sheets.
Bro looked like he's on a National Geographic drug smuggling documentary. You know what I'm saying? Drug smuggling documentaries where you got the face. Where's my mask? You got the mask on. I'm surprised he didn't have a mask on. And a voice translator thing. But
coming from an undisclosed location.
Yeah, those drapes were probably Versace or Hermes. But at any rate, I don't know, bro. I just think that this video didn't do him personally any justice. I think it
Well,
actually
there was a
hurt his
reason
case
why you,
against the SEC.
I get that, but there was a reason why you decided, it would be a good idea after having the information sent to us by Crypto King that we should do a video about it. What was your reasoning for thinking it was important enough for us to cover it for an hour and a half long live stream with 150 plus viewers?
I mean, I think it was a lot of the talking points, they were spot on. They were. But
Okay.
again, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I just wanted to show people really it's all about optics with the government and these agencies. And unfortunately, I believe optically this video hurt him versus helping him with that case against the SEC.
You seem to be the expert of this country name. Can you...
Eritrea.
Yeah.
Eritrea.
Richard Harper, president of Eritrea.
Yes, a round of applause for that.
I definitely do not get the Snowden vibe.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Blue screen purposes, you can select your own. Yeah, well, that's what somebody did on the video that was sent to us, and that video that was very distracting because it had like this crazy movement of, I wouldn't say crazy, but there was just movement of stuff behind Richard, and I just couldn't watch it, so I had to clip and try to add some speed because I figured if we paused it, we were going to add more time to it anyway, so that would have been 10 more minutes of video had I not done that. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it.
No, I enjoyed it, man.
Thumbs up, guys. This was great. Maybe we'll start doing more reaction videos of crypto stuff and maybe even non-crypto.
Yeah, we got to definitely talk about some things. Is there anything you want to add before we do wrap up today's live stream?
No, 62 likes on my side. I don't know about you. Let's get those likes up, guys. I want 100.
It's like 52 on my side on YouTube.
Stream. So let's definitely support each
63
of our channels. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be doing some uncensored content again very soon over the weekends on Rumble only. So look out for that. That's it, man. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to you, Rice, again. And
Happy New Year's to you and everyone as well. If you guys are watching on the Rice side, make sure you guys are following my brother from another mother, Mr. Crypto Blood, on the X.com. Also, his YouTube channel, his Rumble, and I will have a link down below for all these, including cryptoblood.io. If you guys are watching over on the Blood side, make sure you're following me on the X Twitters, following both of my YouTube channels, Rice Crypto and Rice Against the Grain, as well as my Rumble channel. And I encourage you to check out my website, ricetvx.com. Sign up for my mailing list. And we will probably be doing this thing again here very soon. So just stay tuned for our individual streams and collaborations. Thank you again for giving us your time, for joining us on today's live stream, ladies and gentlemen. And with that being said, I encourage each and every one of you to be a blessing to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch that you want to see in this matrix. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And until next time.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
And the promise of Bitcoin, of course, I mean, as a non-Bitcoin expert, I'll just tell you my view of it because I think it's true. The promise of Bitcoin is not just getting rich from Bitcoin. The promise of Bitcoin is you're independent of control by the people who devalued currencies since Rome, and they do it in every single currency is devalued because no politician over time can resist the temptation to print more money because it makes them more powerful. So that's just that's something that never ends. They always debase the currency, even digital currency. And they want to move to a central bank digital currencies. They get complete control of you. If you disagree with them, you can't eat. And Bitcoin offers really a way out of that. And that's totally indefensible. There's no way Janet Yellen, who really is a very dark figure, is never going to stand up and be like, I'm against Bitcoin because it would disempower me and allow the average person to have a little bit more control over his own life. Never going to say that. She's going to be like, terrorists use Bitcoin. Really, terrorists. By the way, any terror group she names has absolutely, without question, received funding from the U.S. State Department at some time or other, if I could just say. Which is another way of saying, you have no moral standing to lecture me about anything. You are my servant. Please be quiet as I go about my life. That is the right posture. And the fact they shut down your bank account tells you everything about how you're on the right track.
Smash that like button.